This is CNN.
CNN Sports Tonight is the baseball news, and it's not good for Steve Howe, who has struck out of the bigs for the 7th time. On the field, the Yankees were home for the division co-leading Blue Jays, and the co-leading Orioles were at home for the Red Sox with a chance to move to the head of the class. What about the bubbling Brewers? The streaking Milwaukeeans gun after West-leading Oakland. Can Vicente remain perfecto for his Pirates? We'll see what happened when the Bucks met the Phils. Also, a day off as the Blazers regroup for another with Chicago, and the Bruins change in seeking the bare necessities. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the show. I'm Fred Hickman.
And I'm Nick Charles. And Fred, baseball immortality denied by the flimsiest of hits by the one of the most unlikely hitters.
Well, I'll tell you what, we have been waiting for it to happen all season, waiting for that big no-no to happen. We came close tonight. Now, let me tell you about the guy, Ken Hill, a pitcher with marvelous stuff, and don't think the Expos did not know that when they picked him up from the St. Louis Cardinals. Yes, Hill had struggled his last 3 turns, winless, an earned run average most guys wouldn't take for a gift. But the guy has been poisoned to the New York Mets over his career. And tonight he came close to being nearly fatal. Here's a look at the action for you from Montreal. Hill entering the game 5-1 lifetime against the Mets and throwing dead red. Look at that on the inside portion. Bonilla couldn't even hold on to the bat. That guy did after he took it in the kisser, I guess. Howard Johnson here. Hojo, sit down. Inside corner, strike 3, and looking. Top of the 4th, the no-hitter's intact. Now, top of the 5th, Anthony Young wraps one to short. Tom Foley gets a glove on the ball, but Young is on. Look at it again. It looks like an error, but they ruled it initially a hit. So there goes a no-hitter, but they're still thinking about it up in the box. Hill finishing up with 8 Ks, strikes out Murray, reaching at one outside on the plate, and then everybody looked to the press box. They're congratulating Hill. Will they change their minds? Will they see reason? Will they take away that hit, call it an error, and make it a no-no? The answer is no, no. The weak hit stands, and Hill walks away with a 1-hit performance. How do you like that? Hill comes as close as an official scorer's judgment then. He struck out 8. He blanked the Metros for the 2nd time this year and drove in one of Montreal's 6 runs just for good measure. We're going to check out the rest of the National League in just a moment. Nick?
Well, New York Yankees reliever Steve Howe was suspended from baseball for a 7th time today after pleading guilty to a misdemeanor charge of attempting to buy a gram of cocaine. Howe was accompanied by his wife, Cindy, and he declined to talk to reporters before or after his court appearance in Missoula, Montana, or about the indefinite suspension ordered by Baseball Commissioner Fay Vincent. Howe claims he was coerced by law enforcement officials into signing a confession and offered his plea under a legal mechanism called an Alford plea, which his attorneys say is similar to a no-contest plea.
You know, we can't change the facts of his case. We don't agree with all of it. But by pleading Alford, it saved my client a trial and also allowed him to say to his fans and supporters, I didn't really admit anything in there today, but if this case did go to trial again, a jury could, in fact, you know, find him guilty.
He faces a battle for the rest of his life, but he has successfully fought it. This unfortunate incident was a case where people were able to break through his defenses. Fortunately, they were not completely successful.
The prosecuting attorney called Howe's action nothing but a legal nicety and that, quote, guilty's guilty, but did admit the legal move gives Howe a means of going to the baseball commissioner and arguing he did not admit to the facts of the case. Fay Vincent will meet with Howe soon and already has predicted the pitcher will file a grievance and send the suspension to an arbitrator. Howe's litany of self-imposed woes has just kept repeating itself, though. All of his 7 suspensions dating from 1983 have been either drug or alcohol related. Howe was National League Rookie of the Year with the Dodgers, but that was 1980. Tonight, he's just a former player who's apparently let himself and his team down once again.
Well, it's hard for me to say. I don't know. I was hoping for the better, and it's difficult for me to say. I don't know what's fair. I don't know the exact extent of the plea. It'd be difficult for me to answer that right now.
What Michael said essentially, in essence, later was, what a waste, because the guy has been so talented. Howe had appeared in 20 games this season, was 3-0 with 6 saves and a 2.57 ERA for the Yankees. Fred?
Well, meanwhile, the Yankees had other problems, and those were afield. For one, they had a 5-game losing streak they were riding with the American League Eastern Division co-leading Toronto Blue Jays in the house for the first of 3. Both sides, though, sending struggling pitchers out to the hill. Stottlemyre 0-3 since May the 4th for Toronto with an Ernie over 6, while Caturay for the Yankees was winless in 3 with his earned run average up over 7 during his run of bad luck. Dave Winfield fan club, he's got one of those since showing up with the Toronto team, and this is probably, you know, his best season, you know, since getting away. Anyway, Devon White here is another guy they love in Toronto. Rips one out, top of the first inning here. Only bright spot, Tartabull. Roberto Alomar tagging from third, and he is gunned out by the big, strong arm. Alomar had to leave the game with a hurt leg on that play, but they say the injury's not too severe. Things really go downhill for the Yanks. Noakes throws it over Monteleone's head. Big game for Alomar's replacement, Jeff Kent, who tags this one. 2-run shot. 11-0 in favor of the Jays, and then watch Kent do it in the field. Bumps into Pat Tabler and then takes it right away from the fans. He wanted it all tonight, and he got most of it. Toronto is a huge winner tonight. 16 runs, a season high, 21 hits, a season high, and 9 of those went for extra base hits. Now, on to Baltimore. The Orioles also opening their night with a piece of the lead, hosting Boston. Here's Wade Boggs, who takes Bob Malacky downtown, deep to center field and into the bleachers for the big fly. It's Wade's 4th of the year, and it staked Boston to a 1-0 lead. Moving on to the second, one on for Randy Milligan, who looks at Mike Gardner and then rips him hard. Deep to left field. Bleacherville, 2-run big fly. That ties up the ball game at deuce. Defensively, the Red Sox took the night off. Bill Ripken's grounder gets by Scott Cooper, allows Leo Gomez to come around to score. 3-2 in favor of the Orioles. And later, Brady Anderson lines it to right, and Phil Plantier comes in. Oops. Billy Ripken scores 4-2-0s. Bob Malacky, his first career win over Boston tonight. There he gets Jack Clark staring at one, and the Orioles go on to win it by a final count of 5-2. Malacky had 7 career starts against the Boston Red Sox, and this is the first time he's ever been able to crack into the victory column. By the way, Cal Ripken of the Baltimore Orioles extended his hitting streak to 17 games tonight while appearing in his 1,628th consecutive ball game, second longest ride in big league history. But that streak is only one of 2 major distractions. The other, contract negotiations. He's trying to keep that out of his mind. There is a rumored offer from the Orioles reported to be worth about $30 million over 5 years. Well, right now, Cal is letting his agent work the arithmetic with the Orioles while he simply plays baseball, and he's doing that pretty well.
Poor guy.
Oh, it's a tough life.
Back to that no-hitter, or near no-hitter, Fred. I can't get into the mind of the official scorer, but would that have been a hit or an error if it were the 9th inning?
If it were the 9th inning, I think you'd have to call it an error. If I'm the official scorer, I'd have to call it. But there shouldn't be a double standard. I know. It should all be the same. A guy gets his glove on it. It's a fairly routine.
But in deference to the official scorer, it was deep in the hole. It could have been a hit, you know.
Could have been. We weren't there. We weren't sitting at the proper angle.
I had a pretty good view, I'll tell you. The AL East was supposed to be a foregone conclusion, spelled Toronto, but look who's jumped into the picture. The Brew Crew is making more noise than anybody in the league right now. We'll see how they handle the A's tonight.
And the rest of the National League story in Philly, Victor Perfectios worked for the Bucks, but did the nickname hold? Or was it back to the same old Palacios? Stay tuned. We'll check it out.
Making a sports card seems mandatory to mention how fast it can go. Instead, why not mention the things you shouldn't mention about a sports car? A strong weld, over 24 safety features, all-wheel drive, engineering that endures. Still, if it's speed you want, we promise with the Subaru SVX, you'll be able to use most of the speedometer. Subaru, what to drive.
There's a whole yard full of reasons to get Ryobi's Trimmer Plus lawn and garden system. Trimmer Plus begins with an exceptionally powerful trimmer. You can attach optional tools in seconds, turning the trimmer into a lawn and garden system. So you can edge, sweep, vacuum, and cultivate. If you've got a yard, it's probably full of reasons to get the Trimmer Plus lawn and garden system from Ryobi.
TNT's favorite movies. Hosted by TNT's favorite stars. Our favorite movies summer edition. Thursdays and Sundays all summer long. Nobody plays favorites like TNT.
The 2 hottest teams in the American League climbed into the same ring tonight when the Athletics opened a series at Milwaukee's County Stadium. Oakland showing the way in the West, despite critics who had them falling apart this season. Milwaukee, meanwhile, figured to have another non-factor season in the East. But lately, the pitching's clicked and the hitting's kicked in. And that's exactly what happened tonight when the Brewers beat the A's. Robin Yount against Joe Slusarski, who tries to pull the string. Yount to center, and Dan Howard kicks it. Paul Molitor scores. Yount takes second. Greg Vaughn then rolls into the plate, and the Brewers wipe out a quick Oakland lead and lead 2-1. Rough night for Mark McGwire. Bill Wegman fans for the third time. Or Bill Wegman fans him for the third time, I should say. Wegman has pitched very well. In fact, he's the staff ace this year, and here starts the double play here. Helps his own cause, 1-6-3. And Harold Baines is rubbed out. Jerry Brown, fly ball to left. Watch the diving snag by Greg Vaughn as he comes leaping into the picture. And Bill Wegman does it again. Wegman's pitched well, goes ahead of the league at 6-5. Slusarski takes the loss. Terry Steinbach a home run late. But look at that Robin Yount. He is closing in on 3,000. There's nobody hotter in baseball, though, than the Brewers. Milwaukee's got everything working the last couple of weeks, and it's finally vaulted the Brewers at least to a view of first place. That is rarefied air if you've been a Brewer or Brewers fan lately. The Tigers blew out the Indians tonight in Detroit, and then things sunk to the ugly stage. The Tigers led 8-1 in the fifth when Indians pitcher Dennis Cook got ahead on 0-2 on Mickey Tettleton and then wasted 2 headhunter fastballs. The Tigers' John Doherty then opened the sixth by plucking Glenn Allen Hill with the first pitch. The umpire issued a warning to both teams, but Doherty's next pitch nearly decapitated Sandy Alomar, and he was mad as heck and wasn't going to take it. Look at that straight karate kick to the belt buckle, to put it delicately. Both dugouts and bullpens emptied. I wonder where he was aiming. And no punches were thrown. We saw the kick, though. From what we could see, Doherty and Alomar, though, definitely got the heave-ho. And by the way, Detroit won the game, 9-2. To Comiskey Park, a struggle between struggling teams. The Angels in town, and speaking of struggles, some people will do anything to get to their seats. You got to admire that youngster's diligence. Jack McDowell. Here he gets Jose Gonzalez. Ball 4. Hold it, Jose. Get back here. This counts full. Now you're out of there. What a way to get punched out. How embarrassing. Bottom of the sixth, 1-1 game. Robin Ventura against Chuck Finley. He'll get around on it and rope it. It'll roll to the fence and make it 2-1 Chicago. Angels threatening, bases loaded, top of the eighth. Bobby Thigpen on. Boy, the Sox need that bullpen to come through. Scott Radzinski and Bobby Thigpen hadn't been doing it lately, but Chicago gets well tonight. The Angels, meanwhile, Finley winless in his last 8 starts. California drops 4 in a row now, 18 of its last 22 games, Fred.
Well, have you heard what else is up in the National League? Well, for one thing, the Bucks have gotten themselves back into some kind of gear. Even so enough so to have regained the Eastern Division lead they temporarily lost. And one of the reasons is Victor Palacios, who was perfectios on the season. In fact, he was 3-0 since being resurrected from the bullpen. But the Phillies turned the coach back into an old Buick tonight. Wrong fairy tale, I know, but I think you get the picture. Things did not work out very well for Victor. There he is, hitting rock tonight. Palacios serving up a fat one to Mariano Duncan here, who blasts it over the wall and right. A 3-run big one, 6-0 in favor of the home team. Great defense by the Phils. We had some. Dave Hollins robs Jeff King of a sure hit. Opened it first for the out. I don't know, sure hit after the Montreal thing. Later, Steve Buechele sends one deep to left. But Lenny Dystra, who never did care about giving himself up against the wall, lunges and comes up with it. You could put a little more padding out there for him these days. Darren Dalton stays hot. Solo shot to center. His 5th home run in his last 5 games. His 9th in 1992. Remember, he had a torrid spring with the long ball. The Phils go on to win it by a final count of 7-0 over the Bucks. Now on to St. Louis, the first of 2 between the Cards and the Cubs. Elvis in the house. Who's the bigger loser, the guy or the lady who showed up with him? Top third, scoreless. Runner on second, Sean Bosky with the base hit. Gary Scott is called out at the plate, though, as Rich Gedman puts a tag on him. The ball was never in Gedman's glove, though. Empty glove. Yeah, Joe Torre must have taught him that. The old catcher. He liked that. Top of the 6th, still scoreless. Real Cormier facing Jim Bullinger. First major league at bat. First pitch. Gone. Big fly. Oh, this kid is all smiles. I mean, how many times has that happened? Once. You get one shot at it. Now, top 13. 1-1. Augusto on the mound. Vizcaíno takes him up the middle. Gary Scott scores 2-1. Cubs win by a final count of 5-2. They got a little insurance out of this thing, but they go on to win it. And 13 will check out game 2 a little bit later. First pitch, first major league game.
That's the first and last time it'll ever happen, though, like you said.
He may not ever get another hit in his career.
I hope Elvis doesn't get any more wives, that poor woman. You're saying you didn't like Mrs. Elvis?
I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is that's not the Elvis that was on the stand. Anyway, still ahead. We have got the pucks, we got the pod, and we got the guys with a whole lot of hop. The Chicago Bulls are putting the hammer down on the Blazers. Can they keep it up? What are the homeboys going to do about it? Well, give us a break, and we shall professionally analyze it with our special guest.
For nearly 50 years, car owners have used Gum-Out fuel system cleaners to help eliminate hard starts, hesitations, and stalls. And there's Pennzoil quality in every product, which is why so many people know they can trust Gum-Out to improve engine performance, help eliminate hard starts, hesitations, and stalls. Gum-Out, solutions to engine problems, from the people at Pennzoil.
Taste it, Grandpa.
He never would have tried this with his old adhesive.
Fixodent holds stronger than any other adhesive. It even stands up to the hottest liquids. For the strongest hold you can get, Fixodent and forget it.
From the first pitch to the final out, Baseball 92, Saturday mornings on CNN.
Welcome back to the show. Portland against Chicago in the NBA Finals was supposed to be Goliath against Goliath. But so far, this series has been anything but classic. Game 1 was a blowout. Then the Blazers stole Game 2 in an overtime thriller to get a split in Chicago. But yesterday in Portland, both teams showed all the effects of too much travel and too many games. The Bulls, though, won it by imposing a smothering style of defense on the Blazers. Now Chicago leads, and Portland has 2 long days to come up with a new wrinkle. CNN's Michael Kalman has details from Portland.
The Trailblazers' frustration at being down a game to the Bulls is compounded by the way it's happened, a failure to blaze a trail to the basket. The patented Blazer fast break has been broken. In Game 3, they were limited to just 10 points on the run.
We're an open court team, and that's when we're at our best. And if we're not in open court and pushing the ball up, then we struggle.
We feel if we can stop that initial rush of theirs, then it's going to be a game that's a 90-point to 100-point game, and we feel comfortable against this team playing that type of game.
The intensity about which we go back at offensive rebound, go back and challenge on the boards.
We have to have the mentality. It's not so much getting fast breaks as getting the ball down the court a little quicker so we get into the flow of things a little easier. If we're walking the ball off the court, then they're really geared into what we're doing, and that makes that much better of a defensive team.
The Bulls have dug in to limit Portland to under 100 points a game, and the Blazers' shooting percentage has also dropped well below their playoff average. And while every starter has experienced a dip, it hasn't just been a matter of missing shots. For Terry Porter, who was red hot coming into the finals, Game 3 was a painful case of not getting the shots.
If you're one of the top 2 scorers in your ball club, 7 shots is obviously not good enough shots for you. Now you happen to get 30 free throws.
Well, they don't have as many shot blockers, so you want to kind of get the basketball inside and get them in foul trouble and make them play defense, interior defense.
The Bulls' ability to dictate the style of play had a profound effect beyond the floor and into the seats here at Memorial Coliseum. The fans who pride themselves on the nickname Blazer Maniacs were taken out of the game. And this place was almost as quiet then as it is now.
On the road, the best and the most important thing is to try to take the crowd out of it because they energize the home team. And if you can take the crowd out of it, they don't hear that cheering as much. It's a little bit demoralizing.
Your home court advantage is only good if you're playing well. If you're not playing well, I don't think the fans can help you. I think they give you a lot of support. But if the other team is just beating your butt, there's not much you can do.
So far in their past 2 NBA Finals showdowns in 1990 against the Pistons and the Bulls this year, the Blazers' home court advantage has been non-existent. In 4 games, they've yet to win. In Portland, I'm Michael Kalman, CNN Sports.
Well, the 94-84 Bulls win ensures Chicago cannot lose this series in Portland, and that the Blazers would have to win it back in Chicago, if at all. That being said, we welcome our NBA analyst, Glenn Doc Rivers of the Los Angeles Clippers, live in our L.A. bureau. Doc, you got two high-octane teams. Both teams wind up scoring under 100 in Game 3. The Blazers' first home game of the series, and they lose. Why?
Well, Chicago Bulls defense. Chicago didn't want to have a high-scoring game. They wanted a slower game. They dictated the tempo, and Portland had a ton of turnovers.
Well, the turnovers were key, of course, and especially in that half-court set, I would guess.
Yeah, it was. And, you know, Chicago wants to play that half-court offense again. Usually they don't, but against Portland, they understand that they can't win in a full-court game or up-and-down game. So they slow Portland down. Portland makes a lot of turnovers. It's bad enough to have turnovers in a fast-paced game, but when it's slow, like the game was played Sunday, to have turnovers like this, you're going to lose a basketball game, especially if you're Portland.
Now, what about the battle of the benches, Doc? Phil Jackson's using guys, even the official scorers had to double-check, I think.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Cliff Livingston didn't play much during the year. Bobby Hansen didn't play at all, and Stacey King was basically out of Chicago. He's used all three of these guys in the playoffs. Stacey King was huge in the game Sunday, and so is Cliff, and Bobby Hansen comes in and makes a big three-point shot in the third quarter. He's pushing the right buttons. Yeah,
Hansen with probably the least desirable job in basketball coming in from Michael Jordan. But, you know, much ado has been made, or at least was before this series started, about the Jordan-Drexler matchup. But two other players have to be large in this series. One has so far, and one has not.
Yeah, absolutely. The two that has to be large is Scottie Pippen has to score for Chicago to take some of the pressure off of Michael Jordan, and Terry Porter, shooting right here, has to make these shots and has to make a lot more shots. 7 attempts is not enough for Terry Porter. And I don't know if it was Portland not getting him the ball or him not being assertive. Scottie Pippen stepped his game up twice. The Bulls have a 2-game lead, 2-1 in a series. Terry Porter stepped his game up once, and Portland got 1 win.
Doc, what about jet lag? Much has been made of the 2-3-2 format. Was it a factor in Game 3 that you can see?
Yeah, I think it was a factor. That must be one of the worst played games you've ever seen in a championship game. I think both teams were tired. Both teams were affected. I think the Portland Trail Blazers, it hurt them more because they're a run-and-gun team. They want to push it up. If you're tired, you can't do that. Okay, Doc Rivers, thank you very much for joining us in L.A. Now that we know what went wrong with the Blazers last night, come back tomorrow and tell us if it's fixable. You've got all the answers. Doc Rivers, thanks a lot.
Yeah. I'd say one thing, not one easy basket for Portland that game, huh?
Not one easy basket really for anybody. If you notice, Pippen was rattling a lot of his shots in, but the difference was he rattled them in, not
out. A lot of people are now saying it's going to be over in a hurry. They said that before when Portland all of a sudden wins a game in Chicago and everything changes. Well, coming up, a new coach for the Boston Bruins, new life for suspended world record sprinter Butch Reynolds and the POD. Stick around, we'll be right back.
At GMC Truck, our only business is trucks. That has been for over 80 years. A dedication to truck strengths and values to keep in mind. Because when you need to haul something, tow something, carry precious cargo, find new trails, or simply ride high and proud, there's nothing quite as strong as a truck. GMC Truck, the strength of experience.
Wendy's Super Value Menu really saves you money. Take today. For lunch, I had a Junior Bacon Cheeseburger, Biggie Fries, and a Biggie Drink, all 99 cents each. So I had money left over. For a while.
Wendy's Super Value Menu, the best place to spend your summer.
There are lots of ways to replace a lost or broken remote, but the easiest is a one-for-all universal remote. Functioning as several remotes in one, it replaces your lost or broken control, then combines all your others into one single remote. Look for one-for-all universal remotes wherever electronic equipment is sold, and save yourself a little inconvenience. Play CNN Scorecard. Look for this display wherever electronics are sold.
The Boston Bruins fired Rick Bowness as their coach today, despite a rookie season in which he took the team to the Stanley Cup semifinals. Bowness came up through the Bruins farm system. General manager Harry Sinden said Bowness was hard-working, well-organized, could assess talent, had the respect of the players, but the big but was that intangible ingredient called coaching instinct. Sinden had considered firing Bowness 2 or 3 other times during the season in which Boston played mostly without their star, Cam Neely, but made a strong impression in the playoffs. One of the candidates to succeed him is former Bruins coach Mike Milbury, who's been an assistant under Sinden since voluntarily quitting as coach 2 seasons ago. A federal judge extended a temporary restraining order that allows world record holder Butch Reynolds to continue trying to qualify for the Summer Olympics. Reynolds holds the world record at 400 meters, but has been suspended by track's main governing body for alleged steroid use. Reynolds claims a lab mix-up resulted in him testing positive. The International Amateur Athletic Federation, however, has stated the court injunction has no jurisdiction on its decision. Reynolds, meanwhile, ran in a meet over the weekend in San Francisco and posted a time that would have qualified him for the Olympics. Fred?
And now it is time for our nightly feature, the play of the day. And boy, was I ever hoping it was a good one. A week on the road, back in the saddle again tonight, and I get this. Bubblegum on the head. This is in Milwaukee. Nice practical joke there. Don Rowe, he's got 3 bubble ups on the head there, but look at Billy Spires. Either he had a good idea, you know, the light bulb going off on the top of his head, or he is duped. Finally, some camera guy wises him up and says, hey, you got gum stuck on your head. That funny guy. Anyway, there you have it. Bubble up. That is our play of the day. Weak in the knees as it was, we dedicate tonight's play of the day to our play of the year guy from 1991, Rodney McRae, today waived by the New York Mets, but he'll be okay. He has run into walls before. We'll break here for tonight's scorecard winners and some words. Stay with us.
Get your CNN scorecards ready. Here are tonight's numbers. 45, 77, 74, 37. Remember, collect a row of numbers and you could win great trips and prizes like a horseback tour in France, a Colorado rafting trip, or an African safari. It's never too late to start playing. Just pick up your CNN scorecard wherever you see this one-for-all universal remote display and watch for your numbers Monday through Saturday right here on CNN Sports Tonight.
Each year, corporate America spends over $10 billion on overnight shipping. Yet, according to a report in the Wall Street Journal, $3 billion of that is wasted. If you find that kind of inefficiency alarming, call UPS. We can save you up to 40% on overnight deliveries and help prevent your profits from going up in smoke. UPS, we run the tightest ship in the shipping business.
Pennzoil, at home in America, IndyCar racing, off-road racing, drag racing, and NASCAR USA. Pennzoil's got what it takes to win. We've got the car, we've got the team, we've got the driver.
And if they got the oil, Pennzoil.
Pennzoil, performance, protection, quality.
Well, I don't know about assessing the talent in the National League West, but there is no tighter division in baseball, and they're playing for it right now. Cincinnati, not too shabby, of course. We're not belittling the West at all, but it's top to bottom, closer than anywhere. The Reds lead it right now. Greg Swindell. Chris Sabo has a couple of RBIs, including a home run. San Diego's in a nosedive, but Bruce Hurst is hot. He and the Padres tied at home against the Astros. The streaking Braves lead it at Dodger Stadium in the 3rd inning, Fred.
Now the American League, the Mariners and the Rangers, and the Rangers, I would say, are getting the best of this one. Juan Gonzalez, 3 big ones last night. He's got 1 tonight. And Kansas City, a lot of rain there this evening, but the Royals hang on to win behind Flash Gordon, who struggled 9-6.
Okay, that'll do it for a Monday night. We'll see you same time tomorrow night. I'm Nick Charles.
And I'm Fred Hickman, and Moneyline is coming up next, right here.